So, look, I think what would be good, mate, is maybe let's just give people a bit of an update on where the data market is, some of the trends we're seeing. So we're all seeing things in the news at the moment about more and more and more and more jobs. So I guess what are you seeing specifically?
Yeah, I think it'll be probably a good idea now more than ever to give a little bit back to the community of what they should be expecting in the marketplace, especially with data science and data engineering. I think kicking straight off with data science is probably the busiest, I've seen it in years, and that's past COVID as well. You're talking about like machine learning, NLP, the cloud being sort of more of a requirement now for people to have it than ever, really. Every job spec you're seeing need to have machine learning, need to have natural language processing, need to have worked with GCP or all the other cloud platforms. It's just everywhere. People are innovating. I'm gone from a stage of having, one or two really good candidates going for a role to 10, 12 people wanting to get their hands on these roles just because it's given them that opportunity to work on these technologies. And then obviously the clients are caveating that with these two-stage or sometimes even one-stage interview process to get these guys on board. So for all these people, for all you guys that are obviously going out into the market and trying to secure these data science position, you got to be prepared for those interviews and what's going to be thrown at you, because they're going to be relatively technical, I think.
And one of the things you see in the media a lot is kind of some of the pay rises people are getting and the salaries. I mean, what are some of the typical sort of pay increases you're seeing some of these candidates get in, and what sort of market rate would you say at the moment for the sort of 5 or 6 key roles that you look after?
I think it used to be all around geographical location, but since COVID hit and everyone being able to work fully remotely, geographical salary banding is now finished. So I'm seeing junior people 30 to 50k. If they're in London and you're a good junior with a master's, you're getting 50k from the off. Mid-level 50 to 70, senior 70 to 90. And if you're a lead or a principal or a manager of data science or data engineering, it can be anywhere between 100k to 150k. Depending on the industry, you've got a couple of the big banks paying silly money, which is making it hard for the smaller businesses to compete with, which is something that we are struggling with, I'd say. Those smaller businesses that we work with, having to try and keep up with these big fintechs and these big challenger banks.
And would you say, I mean, is it all just about salary? Who's got the biggest number to throw around, or what are candidates looking for at the moment from a client's perspective?
You can get paid 100 grand to go work for the bank, and these data scientists will end up just doing dashboard work, BI dashboard work, SQL queries, a little bit, calling themselves data scientists, but doing the job of a BI developer, where they could take 20 grand less and go and work for one of these big tech startups or one of these innovation labs. They might be on less money because the investment's still at a very early stage. So they can't afford to keep up with those monetary figures. But what they do get is they get to work on the latest tech. They go in, they're actually learning from managers that are hands-on rather than sort of chief data officers in the bigger companies that are a bit not really there. And they're learning everything from first-hand experience. And it goes from doing a bit of dashboard into a bit of Python code to being like doing, what we've seen this week, reg tech, speech tech companies, all through NLP machine learning. It's like if they're going to uni for like 5 years to study this, that's got to be the areas that they've worked so hard to work on, not really want to be working on the standard stuff.
So clients need to be shouting much more about the projects, the tech, the direction the business is going to be going in. If they've got a really cool story to sell and around that, rather than just being salaried, that's probably more important.
Yeah, I've been advising. I was sat on a call with a client the other day, and we were mapping out the interview process, and we were mapping out their advert, basically writing it together. And straight at the top, they just had the money and the benefits. I said, that should be at the bottom anyway. But the first couple of lines about this role that's going to be getting attention is, example, one of the fastest growing tech businesses, blah, 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 utilizing X, Y, and Z technologies, working on this sort of level development project, greenfield development, whatever it may be, and then surrounding that by all the skills and the technology experiences that they know these people want to be working on. And even for the techie companies like the publishers, the government businesses and some of the people that are less techie, right? Their sell more than ever, because their industries don't look as sexy to work for, should be what tech they can offer to these people to work on.
Okay, good advice. And what would you say to candidates? Because I think one of the things has changed, in my opinion, but is sort of 6 months ago, candidates were still quite cautious about looking at new roles, kind of going, well, look, my company have looked after me through the pandemic. I'm fairly safe. I can work from home. It's a good work-life balance, and I feel in a good, secure place. But You hear about things in the media about the Great Resignation that's coming.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you say to candidates that sort of are maybe thinking, maybe not thinking, is now a good time? Is it not? What advice would you give to them?
I think the market's the best it's ever been. I think it's kicked back, better than it did a couple of years ago when it went down and back up again. This time is crazy. Businesses that are like 10 strong are now getting that investment that they've been waiting for. That's Series A, Series B, Series C, whatever it may be. And it's not like a couple of million. They're getting loads. They're safe. They're secure. They've got plenty of cash, which is incentivizing these people to go and move away and go and join them. Especially when you get the likes of the ex-big corporates that all come together to form these really cool little businesses. I'm finding that candidates that have worked for steady businesses for 5 years that have been well looked after are even making the jump to these smaller businesses that are on a journey because they know they're going to get in, working on that tech savvy sort of floor. And even not even using that example, more of just a generalist example. I think more people now than ever are moving on, going to work on different things, because it used to be the case where a hiring manager would look at a candidate and be like, "Oh, I don't want him. He's jumped around quite a lot." But people are just breaking it down and spending 2-year periods with different businesses, learning all the tech, and they can go and work anywhere.
Good advice. Anything else you want to add?
No, a little bit about data engineering. I mean, I've obviously put up the post that got lots of traction last week in and around sort of like interview process and how hiring managers should be securing the best talent. I really do stick by this. If you've got anything more than a 4-stage process, you're going to struggle. In one month, you will be lucky to find 2 really good data engineers that have been data engineers for the last couple of roles, not from a BI background, but purely just data engineering. And if you're throwing in the expectation that they need to work on Redshift or Snowflake or any of those AWS technologies that are a little bit more niche, you need to be boxing these people off within a 2-stage or 1-stage process to even get a sniff of securing them, because the companies who are best prepared are the companies that have got the short processes in place, but they took a really long time creating a process that works, that enables the candidate to feel comfortable accepting over a short period of time. And candidates are just confident. They're coming out of interviews because people are doing it right and they're ready to go. So you've got to be able to compete with it.
Yeah, makes sense. And we're seeing that, but not just across data, across tech and in the US as well. It's if you want to be competitive, you got to move quickly and be decisive and not have really laborious testing processes, because the good candidates don't want to do it and they won't do it. So I think that's good advice.
I think the only kickback that we'll always get is your HR and talent acquisition parties are in their rights to say, how are we going to gauge culture in 1 stage, right? And I do understand that. So a HR director or a head of people need to be involved in those 2 stages. It might be a bit uncomfortable for the said engineer wondering why someone non-technical is in there, but if they understand that it's due to a culture requirement, that's really understandable and people will get there. If you make that clear and they're in there, you can sort of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak.
Yeah, no, good advice. Thank you for that.
No problem at all. Cheers.
Cool.